Well, hello everyone, welcome back to PlayFrame and to Nier Replicant and to story mode. I promise story will be forthcoming today. There will actually be story. I know we got sidetracked a bit there. It's easy to do in this game. But we're gonna stop now, we're gonna move on. There's exciting stuff ahead in the Forest of Myth! And I'm excited to get to it. So, the relative tediousness of these side quests, like I said yesterday, I don't think it is a strength of the game. And as with a lot of different aspects of Nier, there's a bit of a tendency, because the creator, Yoko Taro, is so sort of enigmatic and a bit of an oddball and likes to, it enjoys subversive design, it seems pretty apparent. Really enjoys subverting expectations and doing some weird stuff with his games now and then. There's a tendency within the fandom of these games, I think, sometimes to hand-wave a lot of the flaws or problems or tedium in these games as being intentional. And every now and then, I'll say that yes, with Yoko Taro more than others, that is a possibility. I think there's a lot of times, though, where it's just sloppy. Sometimes it's just sloppy design or half-baked systems. Sometimes it's just bad aspects of a neat game, and that's okay. And one of the ways I know that for sure now is because a lot of people used to kind of hand-wave that, like, the bad combat of Nier was itself somewhat a little bit intentional. Or I shouldn't say a lot of people did that. That's the thing that some people would say. And the fact that now, when Yoko Taro has the opportunity to remake this game, the combat is significantly improved, suggests to me that that was not an intentional thing. And I know I'm arguing against a bit of a straw man here. There's nobody here, actually making that argument right now. It is a thing I have heard, and a thing that, honestly, at times, like when I first played the game, I would have been a lot quicker to believe that, oh, there's a lot of aspects of this that are kind of tedious and, not the most fun on purpose. And I think there is still some room for that. There is something to the fact that Nier is running around doing lots of just small, kind of boring things because it is something that, I don't know, it's for his sister. He cares about his sister, and he will, as in his own words, he will do anything, any boring thing, if it'll, help Yona out. So there is something to that. I don't think the sheer quantity of really time-consuming and not very fun to do side quests makes the game all that much better, though, or gets at the game's thesis more clearly somehow. Maybe I'll feel different by the time we finish this, though. I don't know. Anyway, the Forest of Myth. Lovely looking.
It sure is quiet here.
Such silence bodes ill. There's trouble on the way. I'm certain of it.
You know, a little optimism now and then wouldn't hurt, Vice.
Such cheek.
That's me. Cheeky. Now then, are you the mayor? We were sent here to talk to Mayor.
Beware.
Not how I expected the conversation to start.
Beware the words.
The words? What do you mean?
Contagious words. Those who dream.
Those who dream?
Hold a moment. There is a strange new sensation in my mind.
Vice's voice rose in a quizzical way.
It is not quizzical.
What's going on?
The villager's body shuddered as he slowly opened his eyes.
Perhaps we should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
The mayor stared at Nier and Vice.
If you can speak to me, I must have caught you in my dream.
In your dream?
Yeah, so just a reminder, because I know it's been a little while since we encountered this stuff. When we actually spent some time at home with Yona, she and Nier each dreamed and had this strange dream of a silver-haired boy, and just they each had an interesting dream with the boy speaking words, but they couldn't understand or lip read the words, and they were trying to, and Nier eventually interpreted the speech as dreams and sealed verse and forest of myth. That was kind of our initial clue. Popola got a letter from the mayor saying that there was some issue, or at least the letter was trying to say that, but the word dreams just kind of slowly infected the letter to where it was eventually just all dreams. That's basically all we knew leading up to going in here. I know it's been nearly a week in real life time since all that happened, so just, refreshing. The mayor explained. In the past weeks, a mysterious disease called the Death Dream had spread across the forest of myth. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor had determined the death dream was spread from person to person by spoken words, but before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Weiss stared at the mayor, his mouth twitching slightly.
Now see here,
He said,
are you saying that we have been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes,
said the mayor,
I think you have.
In other words,
said Nier.
we've caught the death dream?
Before the mayor could confirm Nier's suspicion, Weiss exploded with rage.
Ridiculous, preposterous, completely unfathomable on every conceivable level. I don't even recall falling asleep.
That's just how the death dream works.
Though polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's remarks.
My remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth into an embarrassed grimace, then quickly changed the subject to who Nier had seen and what they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must have caused you to enter my dream.
Said the mayor.
A certain conversation, a specific word, something.
Nier and Weiss racked their brains but could find no easy solutions. There were simply too many words to consider, too much random chatter, too many meaningless conversations.
Grimoire Weiss does not engage in meaningless conversations.
I'm enjoying that Weiss is able to read or hear or whatever the text. It makes sense the book would get that. The mere suggestion that Weiss chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride.
It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator.
Hey, be nice, I'm trying.
It has demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Weiss looked skyward as if searching for the answers in the heavens.
I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
The anger created by his harsh words bled over to Nier like a contagion. Wait, said Nier suddenly. Did someone just say contagion? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, that villager told us to watch out for contagious words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing a startled Weiss aside in the process. He must have said something, right? Asked the mayor. Some specific combination of words? What was it? It was about dreaming, or something that dreams, or... Oh, what the hell was it? A sheep! Cried Weiss suddenly, blurting out the first thing that popped into his head. The others stared at him for a moment before slowly shaking their heads. I really love how... This is one of my favorite bits in Nier that I remember, just this game slowly turning into... Welcome, we're in a text adventure now. The game has turned into a text adventure because we fell asleep and fell into the word dream, and it happened by our text dialogue box slowly expanding to fill the screen bit by bit to the point where the voiceover is not even happening anymore. That's really clever, and boy, it's the stuff like this that makes Nier so special. After a few more minutes of thought, Nier's face suddenly lit up. I remember, he said. Those who dream, that's what he said, I'm sure of it. At this, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pocket. He flipped through them a few times before finally nodding his approval at Nier. That sounds right, he said, as a stray sheet of paper fluttered to the ground. My notes also mentioned something about that. I bet it was the last thing you heard before you fell asleep. The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across a lone piece of paper. For the last month, I've done nothing but study the disease we call the death dream, he said. I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect people from whatever comes along, but I never expected a couple of outsiders to start entering people's dreams. The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. I should probably be taking notes or something. Weiss immediately fired back. I applaud the force of will it takes to research a disease in your dreams, he said, but perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it. The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. I've tried to escape. From the very first moment I realized I was locked inside my own dream, I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I'd know about it. He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. My village was beautiful, he said, to no one in particular, and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once this disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all the color out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens. Nier nodded in agreement. Huh, wait a second, I didn't nod. Look, if we can be of any help, said Nier, just ask. Now hold on, I did not just say that. Silence, cried Weiss. The grimoire looked from Nier to the mayor and back again, his face filling with confidence. Grimoire Weiss's face is always confident, thank you very much. Now you see here, Mayor, you told us that nothing can exist in this dream without your knowing of it. But yet you seemed surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes? The mayor slowly raised his head, realization dawning on his face. Oh my God, he said. You're right. You're right. I had no idea you were coming. The human imagination is a limitless engine, said Weiss, and dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. With your permission, we shall search it out. Thank you, said the mayor. I don't know how I can repay you. Payment is not required. We're as eager as you to be done with this place. The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. Good luck, you two, he called at the departing forms of Nier and Weiss. We're all counting on you. As Nier slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck by a sense of déjà vu. I saw this man once before, he thought, but where? Nier's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident that they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around him. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Weiss was proving to be a spectacularly poor traveling companion. Unhindered by either terrain or physical effort, he spent most of his time urging Nier to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Finally, after Weiss muttered something about legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, Nier snapped. Okay, Weiss, cram it for a second, would you? You don't have to walk. Nier leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. How can this stupid forest be so big? He muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life, and cacophony, whatever. It's a lot of words I'm reading today. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared out at a volume that rattled his teeth. Nier slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. Weiss, what's going on? Nier could see Weiss's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed, the forest howled. And then, just as Nier's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Zree, zree, zree. Shak, shak, shak. Ch-ch-chi, ch-ch-chi, ch-ch-chi. Wooma, wooma. There's a lot of these, huh? Shik, 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 shik. As the insect symphony dimmed another decibel, Nier began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise, it's something else. The insects weren't just calling out, they were asking a question. 1 with it is lacking, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with it is lacking, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? The answer is a secret. The answer is a seesaw. Or how should I know? Let's see. I think the answer is a secret. Although, a seesaw also kind of fits. Let's say a secret, though. Inwardly furious that Weiss left the task to him, Nier sighed and gave the only answer that made sense. It's a secret. Right? The sound of the insects stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted before Nier like a rippling wave, opening a new path. These forest arthropods are making a road for us, said Weiss with glee. Pleased at passing the test, Nier moved on with new intensity. The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on a path, their journey had a purpose. I guess the forest has accepted us, huh? Said Nier after a bit. Weiss spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Weiss finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling, Nier picked up a small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Weiss. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped moving and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I enter through the window, but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Absurdly easy, barked Weiss. Now answer it. Nier grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right, after all, this one is pretty easy. And books don't have necks. I enter through the window, but I break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? A bird, a letter, or sunlight. Well, if a bird enters through the window, it'll break no glass if the window's open, I guess, but when night falls, birds are still. Letters also, I think sunlight seems like a pretty obvious one here. Sunlight. A plume of water suddenly burst from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Weiss softly, I've never seen such a sight. Perhaps I have misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey, look, cried Nier, awaking Weiss from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Weiss saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Weiss? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? Nier walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began Nier, but before he could get any further, the cloaked man held a hand up and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? Nier tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Weiss, it seems we must answer his riddle. Yeah, I suppose, said Nier. Well, at least it's an easy one. I do appreciate that these are somewhat easy. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? A man, a demon, or an angel? The answer is a man as the stages of life. 4 legs as a child, 2 as an adult, and the third one being a cane, I guess, when you're old. A man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke a single word. Correct. With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor, cried Nier. The small man slowly shook his head. I'm not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago, I saw a version of you that was not yourself. Sorry, what's that mean? It'll make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the Death Dream. Now you must go to the person at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. As Nier watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When Nier and Weiss returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried. You made it! You actually made it back! His left hand grasped Nier's and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right seized Weiss by the cover and swung him through the air. Gah! By heaven, stop shaking me, fool! We've not even told you if we were successful or not! The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. Didn't think I'd ever see you again. Nier withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the Death Dream seal, he said. At least, I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as Nier filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the three of them laid down on the forest ground and fell asleep. Nier cocked his head. Okay, hang on a second. This is crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. Nier and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten, continued Weiss, it is words that control the Death Dream, words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breath slowing. This is the first time, began the mayor, the first time I've felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour or a year. When they awoke, things had a slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener. It was clear they had awakened from their dream. Nier shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. I think we made it. Oh, wow, said the mayor in an odd voice. We did. I'm back. He blinked once, and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The Death Dream was spreading through our village, and I wanted to... Well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand, then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at Nier and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to, said the mayor as a wry smile crossed his lips. You shall relearn in short order, I'm sure, said Weiss. For now, you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. No, I can't. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the Death Dream. I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained when the prayer was finished. It's the guardian of our village's history and memories. Superstition will only make our mission harder, muttered Weiss. We should not put our faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. The legend says that our tree is home to a powerful magic known as a sealed verse. Nier and Weiss could not contain their surprise. It seemed a goal had been found in the most unexpected of places. I say, muttered Weiss, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the three of them said their goodbyes, Nier mentioned the strange man who had given them the third riddle and the mysterious words he had left them with. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world does that mean? Lost in thought, he stared into space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, This is gonna sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before too. Nier tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the death dream. It probably doesn't mean anything. Nier gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. And what exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I can finally return to a normal life.
This is one of the most bizarre diseases I have ever encountered.
I know. That's why we have to help the other villagers, no matter what.
We've obtained a sealed verse. Dark execution magic sounds intense. Summon magical spikes from the ground to... Oh, right! That thing from the beginning of the game. To impale enemies. Charge to increase the number of spikes. Was that not cool, though?
Verse. That didn't take much effort.
Yes, all a touch too easy if you ask me. It's almost as if someone was guiding us to this village.
Don't overthink advice.
I mean, overthink it a little bit.
Now I can finally return to a normal life.
This is one of the most...
I
Right.
know.
Okay, well, let's poke around. We've not actually had the chance to explore. Also... Hello, wait, hang on. First things first. Now then, what's up?
This person must be dreaming too.
Ah.
It would appear that way, yes.
Enter this villager's dream. Why, yes.
Can't say I'm very excited to go back there. That dream world sorta creeps me out.
Speak for yourself, it's cool.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink some water. My voice is tired already. Gosh, I still have a whole week of episodes to get through. I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath a stairway in the long unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside, I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes. An eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison. Anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior. I claw at the door of my jail, embedding thick splinters under my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh. I sob. Surely this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. Help me, I cry. For the love of all the gods, help me. Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired boy and a floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to blackness, explode with pain, and I'm forced to turn away. Who are you? I ask, shaking hands, covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Grimoire Weiss. This is Nier. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as Nier extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato sounds of heavy rain. I never thought to hear that again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pooling around my ankles and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make good our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time, that long-forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like the endless entrails of a giant. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. Okay. Oh, do I need to press up? Oh, yeah, okay. I proceed north. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It's been shoved against the side of the wall, and despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the beds and back again, until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know, and sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether scream or laughter I cannot be certain. Then my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving that most terrible of rooms. I squint down the dim corridors. Well, we shouldn't go south, because that's where we just came from. Let's go east. And north again? North again? At the end of the path, the waters rise to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray that this is the way out. Yeah, me too. Am I gonna have to start drawing like a paper map for myself here? Eventually, I can stand the sight of the waters no longer, and so turn my eyes upward. Imagine my surprise when I see a series of paintings hanging on the faded plaster wall. Each depicts a person in the prime of life, clad in clothing of the highest quality. The styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long, long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It's constructed of a thin, breezy cloth and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt of the most perfect construction. It's a stunning costume, even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I'm struck by a desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet, as I extend a single finger to the painting, I'm gripped by a most unpleasant feeling. Staring closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another finger, something behind the pictures pointing at me. Is it another prisoner? A fellow inmate trapped for eternity in this place? I cannot let it pass, and so I seize the portrait with both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside I can just make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there would be no rescue. The poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of the fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I've been admiring a row of corpses, blocked from view by portraits of each victim at their pinnacle. Enough. Shielding my eyes, I paddle forward through the water. I squint down the dim corridors. Oh boy, we hit a dead end. South. West? At the end of the path, a row of heavy wooden casks lie on their sides in a dark chamber. Doubtless they are filled with wine. My thirst roars to life. I cannot remember the last time my parched throat had relief. I scramble to the first cask and pull it frantically at the cork. The theft of a few cups means nothing, I tell myself. The casks will be ruined by the flood regardless. Finally, the cork surrenders to my attack, and thick red liquid bursts forth from the hole. This is no wine. It's blood, still warm from the body. Whether animal or something else, I cannot say. The foul liquid soon mixes with the rising floodwaters, creating a warmth that laps against my thighs. By all the gods, are the rest of these casks filled with blood as well? I lack the courage to confirm my suspicion. Disgust quickly becomes fear as I turn to flee, but my weakened legs betray me, sending me toppling over into the red ocean below. The smell of death is everywhere. It threatens to consume me. I must escape this hell. Crawling on all fours like an animal, holding back screams lest any foulness enter my mouth, I lurch forward through the red waters and out of the room to freedom. I squint down the dim corridors. Oh boy, I feel like we're running out of time here. East, and let's go east again. We've come from south, we've tried north already, and west, so east. At the end of the path, I find myself in a great hall with only the sounds of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table, upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head, but as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, wriggling insects have made homes in their remains, and this is the movement I saw. This once splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, then slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs prove to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat, up the back, and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For, if not, it's a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasps frantically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment. Though, in truth, I suspect they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the dim corridors. I can head north from here. Okay, that's something. The water's risen to my chin and now laps greedily at my mouth and nose. "You dumb bastard," shouts Nier. He surely desires to say more, but the rest of his insult is cut short by the rising water. Grimoire Weiss, wet and tattered, floats on the water's surface. It's already too late for him. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. Dang. We losed. Let's try again. Now, the fact that they've dropped me out here is a little concerning. I hope that doesn't mean I have to do the part with the mayor again?
Now I can finally...
Okay, that's a relief. All right, let me get in here, and I've gotten a little notepad. Now I'm actually gonna old school this and keep track of my directions. Okay, we're starting back here and proceeding north. That's our only choice to start. North, writing it on my notepad. At the end of the corridor, row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. Right, pile of bodies near all the beds. Charred corpses. They're, like, this text is doing a great job of just evocative dream nightmare imagery in general. I don't remember, so south would take us back to the start, and that's not useful, I don't think. So let's head east again. Sorry, taking a second to scribble on notepad. Corpse pile in this room. We're heading east from here. East from here. And then north. This is where, let's see, this is where, I think we went north again last time. I'm going to say let's go west, I guess? At the end of the path, a row of heavy wooden casks. Okay, so, all right, so this is the, like the intersection that we kind of spent a lot of time in and got lost in before. So I think, so from the west of that big intersection is Wine, which is a dead end. North, I think, is also a dead end. We're gonna head east when we get back to that other room. So this is the wine cask room that's got blood in it. And then we get through that, go back east to the intersection. This time, let's go east again. At the end of the path, Great Hall, sounds of rain, waterlogged carpet, right. I'm guessing we just ran out of time last time. We can only like enter so many rooms before the water fills the entire space. So, I squint down the corridors. So we just went east. Didn't leave enough room on my notepad to go this far east. But north is the only option. for a new direction. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. Oh, we were so dang close last time. At least we got to see all the stories. Actually, that was kind of worth it. Break it down, someone cries, and so I give myself to the effort. In tandem with Nier and Grimoire Weiss, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat. The clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west, I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cry as tears join the rain on my cheeks. I would surely have died in there. Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. Your dress? Asks Weiss. Then you are a woman, madam. I am. I proffer the two a smile. I suppose that comes as something of a surprise, seeing as how I exist only in the form of words. I can see that the one known as Nier is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's windows shatter with a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, uncountable black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened to their new life as shades.
You have anything to say about that?
Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time.
I hear that.
Well, there is one more we gotta do here, looks like. Anything to say?
Thank you so much for saving me.
You got it.
I never want to have a dream like that again.
I'm torn. I agree, but also it's kind of cool. Anyway, more of that, and let's help someone else.
And another victim. This work certainly is trying.
Let's enter the dream and drink some water.
I figured a book like you would be into all this word stuff, Weiss.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
Okay. A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Weiss and Nier had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away.
Thank you for reading some of these lines for me, Nier. Honestly, it's really going to help me out.
What do you think, Weiss?
As Weiss considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
He said. Oh. Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight. Nier nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road on which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid this material down over their home. The heat reflecting from the road made Nier lightheaded. His feet hurting, he crouched down to rest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us or what? The complaining had already begun. Weiss tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke, he said. No joke. This road leads to the city of art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it in this way might make it easier for you to bear. Nier glanced at Weiss's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. As time passed, Nier's feet grew more painful, and his throat drier than he thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We are definitely getting closer, said Weiss, in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this much is certain. Encouraged, Nier lifted his gaze. Suddenly, he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open, and his finger pointing in the distance. Water, he cried. It's water! Water? Asked Weiss. Preposterous. I don't see any water. Over there, just ahead of us. Look, the sun's reflecting off of it. Without waiting for a response, Nier sprang to life and bounded toward the site. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but sand in every direction. Nier closed his eyes and sighed as Weiss floated up behind him and chuckled softly. I believe this is known as a mirage, he said. Many a desert traveler has spoken of such things. Nier shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. Wait, there it is! I just missed it. Look, it's right there! Nier sprinted off again, leaving Weiss with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Nier came to a halt. I could have sworn it was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue, shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour until an exasperated Weiss finally floated up to Nier and struck him in the face with his cover. Enough, you blithering idiot! Stop this at once! There is no water here. Nier's face clouded. There isn't? It took an hour to figure that out, Nier. Come on. There's not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much. Weiss paused for a moment, then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems we've arrived in the city of art. Nier looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. They're huge, cried Nier, completely forgetting the heat and pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big. Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up toward the sky, but that's where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. What kind of city is this? Said Nier. Where are the people? Where are the houses? Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use. The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels sat silent on steel rails. Beautifully carved works with lights of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials that they had never before encountered. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find a theme or purpose to the abstract works around them, Nier and Weiss eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. Nier uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally, I was getting tired of modern art. The 3 statues were indistinguishable except for a single word chiseled into their right arms. One read Alpha, one read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As Nier moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Alighting on the statue's shoulder, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real. The others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies. With that, the bird departed. As if on cue, the 3 statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. Hey, look at that, said Nier. They're alive. The triplets bowed low before Nier. Please, said Alpha. You have to get me out of this nightmare. I'm real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to Nier and threw his hands in the air. Alpha's a fake, you know. I'm the real one. What a load of crap, said Gamma. Beta's a fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here. Their respective pleas given, the 3 statues returned to their frozen state as silence once again enveloped the city. When you consider all of the statements, only one of them could be the real thing, said Weiss. Nier furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real one will always speak the truth, the false ones will only speak lies. This is probably obvious, but from reading a lot, my brain's a little tired. Let me think for a second. Okay, so I got some water and cleared my head a little bit. So the problem I'm now thinking is that I don't remember whether the statues that claimed the others were lying. So like Alpha said it's me, Beta said it's not Alpha, it's me, and Gamma said it's not Beta, it's me. And that, again, this is probably straightforward. My brain's just a little tired now. At least I think they said it's not Alpha or Beta, it's me. Because if they just said it's not Alpha or it's not Beta, then that's slightly different. Like that can be... So the false ones speak only lies. So that helps to narrow it down a little bit. So if Alpha's telling the truth, then Beta would be lying and saying that it's not Alpha and that it's them. But Gamma would be telling the truth and that it's not Beta. So like that statement at least would be telling a true thing. So it can't be Alpha. If it's Beta, then Alpha's a liar, straight up. Then Beta is telling the truth that it's not Alpha and that it is them, and Gamma is lying that it's not Beta, it's them. So Beta is actually probably the one, because if Gamma is telling the truth, then Alpha is lying, but Beta is telling the truth by saying it's not Alpha, so it has to be Beta. There we go. Okay, got it. I think. The real one's Beta. Though Nier's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, which I'm wondering if that's just as a result of me waiting a minute to get water and think. I don't know if the text changes based on how long it takes me to click a thing. That'd be funny, though. He was relieved to see Vice nodding at him. If Alpha were telling the truth, began Vice in the dry tones of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes. But in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is fake would be the truth, even though Gamma is a liar. Therefore, that theory crumbles. Now let us presume that Gamma spoke the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars. In this situation, however, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us with two statues telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense. Therefore, Beta must be real. As Vice finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust, while Beta sprang to life once more. Congratulations, villager, said Vice in a cheerful voice. The time to awaken has arrived. Thank you for saving me, cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable Nier pulled him to his feet. Why did you have a dream like this? Asked Vice. Have you been to this city before? The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could have ever been to a place like this. But at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before. Deja vu, muttered Nier. Just like the mayor. The vague sense of unease that struck Nier during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.
That was rough.
I am positive I have seen that place before.
Okay, that's enough. Don't need you getting all weird on me too. Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right?
Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct. I think I have had enough wordplay to last a lifetime. Thank you very much.
You're telling me. Anyway, let's go see the mayor.
Yeah, let's go do that. You all right there?
I thought I was a goner there. Thanks for the help.
You got
A
it.
strange dream. It almost felt familiar somehow.
Let's go talk to Mayor. Mayor. We helped your people.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so much. Here, I have something for you.
Obtained the one-handed sword, Faith.
Wow, this looks valuable. I can really have it?
Of course. It's apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything.
You bet. So I told you the Forest of Myth is cool. Now let's explore and make sure there's nothing else all that interesting to see, and then we will call it a day. Also gotta make sure there's no one else to save. I don't think there is, though. I think this is just a tiny little area with it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's about it. This is rad. This episode is, in a nutshell, the kind of thing that makes me love Nier. Because it tries all kinds of wild things. Not all of them work. Sometimes it's just kind of tedious or it doesn't quite, come together. But, boy, it really swings for the fences on some interesting things that few other AAA or AAA adjacent, at least, games would even try. And I think that's neat. Anyway, we're going to call it for today. And then we're going to head, I guess, back to the village, right? I assume that's got to be what we're doing. Yeah, that's what we'll do. I will see y'all tomorrow for that and the continuing of the story, because no more side quests for a bit. Take care, everyone, and goodbye.